You ever look at someone who seems to have everything, fame, success, money, and think, what could they possibly be dealing with behind the scenes? I mean, it's easy to assume their life is perfect, right? That they've got it all figured out. But sometimes the brightest smile is hiding the biggest storm. And when it comes to Johnny Depp, that couldn't be more true. On the outside, he's one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. A heartthrob, a legend, Captain Jack Sparrow for crying out loud. But behind that charm, that wit, and those iconic roles, there's a whole world of pain most people never see. If you've ever found yourself pretending you're okay when you're really not, yeah, Johnny's been there too. Today, we're diving deep into his story, not the tabloids or the gossip. We're talking about the real Johnny, the one who's fought silent battles for decades, while still making the world. Laugh, cry, and fall in love with his characters. From his rocky childhood to personal heartbreaks and public storms, this is the truth behind that famous smile. And trust me, once you hear it, you won't look at him the same way again. Let's go back, way back, to where it all began. Johnny. Depp didn't grow up in the glitz and glam of Hollywood. He was just a quiet, artsy kid from Owensboro, Kentucky. And life wasn't easy. His family was constantly on the move. In fact, they relocated more than 20 times before he even hit 15. Can you imagine never having a place to really call home? Always packing up, starting over, being the new kid, again and again. But it wasn't just the moving. What really left a mark was what happened inside the home. Johnny has talked openly about how rough his childhood was. His mother, Betty Sue, was tough physically and emotionally, and his dad, one day he just left. No big speech, no long goodbye. He walked out the front door and never came back. Johnny was just a teenager. He stood there, watched it happen, and didn't stop him. Later he'd say that he hated himself for not saying something, for not chasing after his dad. That moment haunted him, and it was just one of many wounds he carried into adulthood. Now imagine growing up with that kind of pain and not knowing what to do with it. For Johnny, the answer was to disappear. Not literally, but into characters. Acting wasn't just a job for him, it was an escape, a safe space, a way to be someone else for a little while. When he played Edward Scissorhands or Captain Jack or any of those iconic roles, he wasn't just acting. He was hiding, protecting himself behind someone else's face, because when the cameras stopped rolling, the pain was still there. And while his career skyrocketed, his personal life stayed pretty rocky. He's had his fair share of high-profile relationships, but one of the most stable periods in his life was when he was with Vanessa Paradis. They were together for 14 years, and even though they never got married, they built a family. They had 2 kids, Lily Rose and Jack, and Johnny has always said that being a father changed everything for him. In his own words, it saved him, made him want to be better. But even love doesn't always last. After he and Vanessa split, things started to unravel again, and then came the legal battles, the kind that didn't just make headlines, they defined them. The messy divorce, the accusations, the court cases. Suddenly, Johnny wasn't just an actor anymore, he was a tabloid. Story, a controversy, a punchline in late-night jokes. He lost movie roles. Some of his closest friends pulled away. People he trusted turned their backs. And through all of it, he kept smiling for the cameras. But behind that smile, he said he felt broken, betrayed, numb. At times he turned to alcohol just to cope, not to party, not to celebrate, just to shut out the noise. And maybe even to feel something, or nothing at all. He once admitted that during those years he seriously thought about walking away from everything. The fame, the films, the spotlight, but he didn't. Somehow, he kept showing up, kept going. Even when it felt like the whole world was watching him fall apart. And here's something most people don't get. Just because someone's famous doesn't mean they're okay. You can be loved by millions and still feel completely alone. Experts say childhood trauma doesn't just vanish when you grow up. It sticks with you, especially when it's never really dealt with. And when life gets stressful, like losing someone you love or being dragged through the mud publicly, That old pain comes right back. Dr. Gabor Mate, who's a leading voice on trauma and addiction, once said something that really fits here. He said, "The question isn't why the addiction, but why the pain." Think about that. Johnny's drinking, his breakdowns, they weren't random. They were symptoms of much deeper wounds. Wounds from way back that never got the chance to heal. And here's something even fans might not know. Johnny actually turns to writing when he's overwhelmed. Poetry, music, lyrics. It's not for show. It's not for fame. It's just how he gets through the hard stuff. It's how he processes what he can't say out loud. One of his friends said that's when Johnny's at his most honest, when he's creating, away from the spotlight. And yet through everything, through every heartbreak, every loss, every accusation, Johnny has stayed deeply connected to his fans. He's known for stopping to talk to them, signing autographs, showing up at children's hospitals dressed as Jack Sparrow even when his own life felt like it was falling apart. It's like giving back has been part of his healing, too. You know what else is kind of incredible? Johnny never let all that pain, everything he was going through, define the work he gave to the world. Think about it. Even when things were falling apart behind closed doors, when the headlines were brutal and the pressure was crushing, he still showed up. He still gave his all. On set, he was present, focused, committed. He didn't let the chaos inside him leak into the characters he played. He brought every single role to life like it was the most important performance of his life. Whether he was playing the weird, whimsical Jack Sparrow or the tender, soft-spoken Edward Scissorhands, Johnny always delivered something magical, something that made us forget our own problems for a while, something that made us believe. And that's not easy. It's not just talent. That kind of emotional strength, that kind of commitment to your craft even when your personal life is a mess, takes something more. It takes heart. It takes resilience. It takes a kind of quiet courage most people will never see. And maybe it takes a little bit of magic too, the kind of magic that only someone who's walked through fire can give to the world. But here's the thing, smiling through pain, that kind of strength has a cost, a real one. Because pretending to be okay when you're not, it drains you, it wears you down. It's like carrying a heavy backpack every single day and still pretending you're not tired. Eventually, that weight starts to show. Maybe not on the outside, but inside, you're barely holding on. No one should have to carry all that alone. And that's what makes Johnny's story so powerful. It's not just because he's a celebrity. It's not about the red carpets or the blockbuster movies or the magazine covers. It's deeper than that. It's powerful because it's human. Because beneath the fame and the characters and the charm is a man who's been through things a lot of us can relate to. Things we maybe don't talk about enough. He's lived through abandonment, through emotional trauma, through addiction, through public humiliation. He's faced betrayal by people he trusted. He's fought legal battles that dragged his name through the mud. He's been called things no one ever wants to be called. And he's done it all under the glare of the public eye, while millions watched, judged, and speculated. But through it all, he kept going. And what's truly remarkable is how many people can see themselves in parts of Johnny's story. Maybe not the Hollywood part, maybe not the fanfare, but the pain, the confusion, the feeling of not being enough, of being misunderstood, of constantly trying to prove yourself or defend your truth. That's something so many people feel. And most of us, we carry that quietly, like a secret. That's why stories like Johnny's matter. Because they make you feel seen, and maybe that's the real impact he's had, not just on screen, but off of it too. By opening up, by sharing even just glimpses of what he's been through, he's given permission to others to say, yeah, me too. That's huge, especially in a world where so many people are still scared to be vulnerable, still scared to speak up about what's hurting them. Because let's be honest, we all wear masks sometimes, don't we? We all put on that brave face, that smile. We go to work, we show up for our families, we post the happy pictures, and deep down, there's this storm brewing inside. Maybe it's something from our past, maybe it's something we're facing right now, but it's there. So let me ask you something. Have you ever worn a smile just to hide the storm you were in? Have you ever laughed at a joke or nodded your way through a conversation while secretly feeling like you were breaking apart inside? If you have, you're not alone. Not even close. There are millions of people out there feeling the same way, and yet so many of us think we have to keep it all together. Be strong. Be fine. But strength isn't about pretending everything's okay. Real strength is about showing up, especially on the days when everything inside you is telling you to give up. That's the kind of strength Johnny's story reminds us of. And here's another layer to this. Johnny's not just a man who's been through pain. He's also a father, a creative, a friend, a human being with moments of joy, silliness, laughter, and love. He's not just a sad story. He's a full person, just like all of us. His past shaped him, sure, but it didn't erase the light he brings to others. It didn't stop him from trying to be a good dad, from showing up for his fans, from doing the work. And if that resonates with you, if any part of Johnny's journey feels even a little familiar, then you really need to hear the story of someone who didn't just hear about it, but lived it. Someone who had a front row, seat to the storm and the sunshine, his daughter, Lily Rose Depp. She didn't just grow up with the usual challenges of being a celebrity kid. She grew up in the middle of it all. The spotlight, the chaos, the noise, and the quiet moments no one else saw. The tender ones, the painful ones. The ones that don't make headlines but leave lasting marks. She watched her father rise to fame. She saw the world fall in love with the characters he played, but she also saw the other side, the heavy side, the side the cameras don't catch, the moments when the applause fades and the silence creeps in. She saw what it looked like when someone you love is hurting and there's nothing you can do to make it stop. She saw what it means to survive as a family when your life is anything but normal, when you're just a kid trying to make sense of why the people around you are hurting, or why strangers on the internet have an opinion about your family like they know the full story. When your dad's pain becomes part of your childhood memories, not because he wanted it to, but because life doesn't always give us clean lines between the personal and the public. And yet, through it all, she's grown into a voice of her own. She's taken that complex, messy, emotional journey and turned it into something quietly powerful. Lily Rose doesn't speak out often, but when she does, you can feel it. There's a depth in her words, a softness, and maybe a little bit of that same strength her father had, the kind that comes from walking through fire and still choosing love. Her story is different, but connected, and it deserves to be heard. Because when we talk about healing, when we talk about generational pain, when we talk about how trauma travels through families unless someone decides to face it, her story becomes just as important as Johnny's. She shows us what it looks like to grow up around both love and pain, around creativity and chaos, around beauty and heartbreak, and still choose to walk forward with grace. So when you're done watching this, give her story a moment. Watch the next video. Listen with your heart. You might see your own family a little differently. You might find yourself thinking about your childhood, your parents, your relationships in a new way. Sometimes healing begins when we finally feel understood. And Lily Rose's story has that kind of power. Now, if this video meant something to you, if it helped you see Johnny Depp in a different light, or made you reflect on your own hidden strength, or just gave you a few moments of connection, please go ahead and give it a like. Not just for us, but because when you click that like button, it tells YouTube, hey, this story matters. It helps the algorithm understand that real stories, honest stories, deserve to be heard. And it helps more people, maybe people who really need it, find this video. And we'd really love to hear from you too. If you're comfortable, drop a comment. Tell us what part of Johnny's story hit home for you, or share your own moment of resilience, your own battle scars, or even just how you're feeling today. You never know who might read your words and feel a little less alone because of them. Sometimes a single comment can be a lifeline for someone else, a reminder that there are others out there who get it. And that's what this space is about. Connection, not perfection. We're not here to pretend everything's fine. We're here to be real. And if you've made it this far, you're probably someone who appreciates that kind of honesty, that kind of rawness. So if you're into real stories, the kind that don't always have happy endings, but always have heart, go ahead and subscribe. Join our little corner of the internet. We're building something here, not just content, but a community, a space for truth, for growth, for healing. A place where people can show up exactly as they are and feel seen. Because the truth is, behind every smile there's a story. Sometimes it's a story of joy, of triumph, of laughter. Sometimes it's a story of heartbreak, of confusion, of loss. And sometimes it's both, woven together. A smile that hides the tears. A laugh that echoes through pain. A joke told not to entertain, but to survive. And those stories, the quiet ones, the ones we don't always share out loud, those are the ones that matter most, because they're real. They come from the heart. They're messy, yes, imperfect, definitely, but they're powerful. And when we choose to tell them, when we stop hiding and start speaking, we give others the courage to do the same. So if you're someone who's ever had to smile through pain, if you've ever carried a storm inside while the world expected, sunshine, know this. You're not alone. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And there's strength in the softness you carry. Thank you for spending this time with us, for letting this story sit with you, for choosing to be part of something a little deeper. And hey, even if you don't say a word, just know, we see you, and we're glad you're here. Behind every smile, there's a story, and maybe, just maybe, that's where the real magic lives.